Hey everyone, this is Mr. Loose, and this is your technique of the week. Today I'm going to show you how to blend two colors, which is very important because you want to be able to transition from one color to the next to have beautiful transitions, or if you want to have like a really cool effect. It really just depends. The possibilities are endless of what you could do with blending colors. So the first thing you're going to need to do is draw the rectangle for our scale that we're going to be practicing on today. After you've done that, we are going to color both sides of our rectangle with the two color pencils of our choice. You don't really want to do this with color pencils or markers because markers and crayons tend to not blend very well, but color pencils are perfect for this technique. So what I went ahead and did is I colored each side of my rectangle with each color. And as you can see, I started off very hard pressure. And as I get closer to the center of the rectangle where the two colors will meet, I'm getting lighter and lighter with my pressure. So I started off coloring really hard here, so hard that it made my hand hurt, but not hard enough to break the pencil. And then I'm easing up on the pressure and it's getting a little bit softer and lighter, so I'm not coloring as hard. And then I should be coloring as soft as I possibly can the closer I get to the middle. I went ahead and colored both of these sides so that you didn't have to sit here for like 5 hours watching me color. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the most important part, which is how to blend our two colors together. So right now we have two very hard, heavy pressure of the red and yellow, and as they get closer, they get lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. Now, the two colors mixed together is going to make this beautiful orange-like color. So I'm going to go ahead and mix the two colors as they get close together. So you can do this one of two ways. You can either mix them together to make the color that you want right here first, or you can do what I'm going to show you and just slowly add the colors into each other. This method is a lot easier and more consistent, so I'd really prefer if you did that. So the first thing is I'm going to use my yellow, and with the light pressure, I'm just going to slowly continue to color towards the middle. Now the amount of pressure I am using is going to be lighter than I used here, right? Because we went heavy and the more to the middle we go, the lighter the pressure. So I'm just coloring really soft and light. So soft and light enough to where you can see the color, but we want a nice transition from here to here. You don't want it to be like super hard and then super light. You want different amounts of medium pressure. So I'm going in, I'm just kind of coloring really soft. And since I'm coloring soft, it doesn't really matter which direction I'm going because you can't tell. Versus if I was coloring heavy, you would see which direction I was coloring, okay? So there, now I'm going from my heaviest pressure to where it slowly gets lighter, and now I'm going to do the same thing for my red. I'm just softly coloring, and the red's a little bit easier to see. I think these are both great fall colors, which is why I chose them. And they're both so opposite. You have like the intense red, but then you also have that soft glow of the beautiful yellow. I think it's called goldenrod now that I think about it. So I'm getting just softer and softer. And you can see right here as I'm just going more towards the yellow, it's getting as soft as it can go. It's like I'm barely touching the paper. And then the further away from the yellow I go, a little bit heavier pressure I can get. So just really soft and light, nothing too hard. Okay. So let's go in here. I'm not gonna color too too much there because I want it to be light. And when you're using a dark color, the more you color, like when you're using a dark color, the more you color on top of it. Like if I was to do another layer, it would get really dark really quick. As you can see, I'm doing another layer here, and it's already getting darker. I'm gonna work on my transitions. Your transitions are very important. You can see right here where it just goes light, medium, dark. You don't want that. You want to make it more of a smooth, even transition like we have here with the yellow. Your lighter colors are easier to do that because they're not as abrasive and hard, but then with your darker colors, you're gonna have to work your magic a little bit. So I'm gonna come in and just kind of, you can see that line where I went from dark to the less dark. I'm just gonna kind of blend them together. Just kind of go over it. Just kind of work it, but I want to make sure that I keep the darker side over here. But then as I get over here, just kind of lighten up my brush, my pencil a bit. You can do this with paint. You can do this with all types of materials. But it's easiest with colored pencils. And I'm using the fancy Prismacolors that we use right now. Okay, so now you can see how it slowly changes from one color to the next. But it's like they just stop right here. And we don't want that. We are blending two colors. We don't want one color over here and one color over here. We want to mix them. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my color from this side and I'm going to slowly incorporate it into this color. So really soft and light, just like I did here. I'm going to mix it. I'm just slowly adding a little bit of this color. So I'm blending and blending. Okay. So, and then as I get further away from this color, I'm also continuing to get really light with this color. Because right now I'm in red's territory, so I don't want the yellow to be too hard. But the closer the red gets to the yellow, the more I'm going to blend it in a little bit. Right? Okay, so let's take a break from the yellow. Now I'm going to get the red, and I'm going to do the opposite side. So now I'm going to go back over where I just did that yellow. Blend it in a little bit. It's going to turn that into a nice orange, like a sunset or a sun kiss. I don't know if any of you have ever had that drink, the sun kiss. And now I'm going to slowly put the red into the yellow. Okay. And you can see where they're slowly changing from one color to the next. It's always, 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 always best whenever you're drawing or coloring to always start off really soft and light, because it's easier to fix something when it's soft than if you went in like this hard, like ah! It's really hard to fix if you make a mistake or if you make too much color. It's always easier to add more color than to take away, and that applies to anything in art. Okay, so now I'm gonna get my yellow again and I'm gonna come back over here. I'm gonna mix it in. And you're just gonna go back and forth, back and forth. I'm going to bring that yellow in over here a little bit. Real soft. And then I'm going to do this just a little bit more. So you can hear that. What I'm doing is I'm adding more pressure and coloring harder over here, but then as I get on this side, softening it up a little bit because I want it lighter over here. So if you hear the differences in my pencil. See, heavier, lighter. Let's get over here. And this is a great way to practice if you wanted to make a bunch of these rectangles and just practice, and just, I'm sorry, did I say rectangle or triangle? Well, rectangle. And just make a bunch of them, maybe not as big, and and just pick 2 random colors all the time and just practice mixing them. It's really helpful. I need to ease up on my pressure over here, Mr. Lewis, because you don't want to get too red. Your yellow's turf. Let's go in here. Go in and lighten it up. Stop. Let's have more yellow on this side. And then less yellow over here. Just a little bit of yellow, a little more red. And it just takes time. And some of you would like to call this an ombre effect, where it slowly changes from one color to the next. If that's what helps you remember it, then that works too. And that's looking pretty good. I'm not upset with this. I'm about it. Just gonna make sure I blur that line a little bit. And voila! There we have it, going from one color to the next. That looks pretty legit, if I do say so myself. So we have it slowly changing from the yellow all the way down to this orange, which then transitions back into the red. So that is how you blend in 2 colors. And if you kind of see the lines, you can go in and you can keep working on them. But don't obsess over those lines where you have one color to the next. When you're working transitionally like that from one thing to the next, it can be a little harder. Sometimes what I find is it's just easy to go hard and then continue, and then as you're going and going and going, your pressure is getting lighter. That's another way to help get rid of those lines. But at the same time, these are all different colors, so they are going to look from far away kind of sectioned off a bit. But that is how you blend 2 colors together. I hope that helped, and go do this yourself, and that's all.